Dr. Evelyn Moore was a renowned neuroscientist, known for her groundbreaking work on human consciousness and brainwave patterns. She spent years studying the brain's potential to connect with the unknown, especially in altered states of awareness. But she never imagined her work would lead her to a discovery beyond her comprehension. It all started with an experiment. Evelyn had developed a machine that could simulate deep brain activity, creating artificial states of consciousness. She was testing it on herself, aiming to record and decode patterns in the brain that could link human minds to something beyond physical reality. On the third night of her solo experiment, something unexpected happened. As she induced the deepest state of consciousness, she felt a strange, overwhelming sensation, a presence. At first, she thought it was the side effects of the machine, but as the feeling intensified, she realized it wasn't a hallucination. It was real. She wasn't alone in her mind. Someone, or something, was there with her. The connection was subtle, but unmistakable. She tried to communicate, but no words came. Instead, thoughts, emotions, and images flooded her mind. It wasn't an external voice, but a silent presence that seemed to understand her every thought. The more Evelyn focused on it, the stronger the connection became. She couldn't break free. When she finally awoke, hours had passed, but it felt like mere minutes. Her heart was racing. She quickly checked her notes, but the data didn't make sense. The brainwaves didn't match any known patterns. There was something out there, something beyond human comprehension, yet so close she could feel it. For weeks, Evelyn tried to replicate the experience, but she couldn't. She was left with more questions than answers, unsure of whether she had truly connected with another mind, or if it was the machine malfunctioning. But the presence lingered, haunting her thoughts, pushing her to discover more. Evelyn's obsession with the connection grew. She couldn't shake the feeling that the entity, whatever it was, had a deeper purpose. After weeks of research, she stumbled upon something that shook her to the core, ancient texts describing similar experiences. They were talking about an entity from another realm, one that could connect with human minds and influence their thoughts. These beings weren't just figments of imagination, they were real, and they had been interacting with humans for centuries. The more Evelyn learned, the more she realized that her connection wasn't random. The entity wasn't simply observing her, it was guiding her, influencing her decisions, nudging her thoughts in certain directions. It wasn't controlling her, but it was subtly steering her toward specific discoveries. In a moment of clarity, Evelyn realized what the entity wanted. It had a message, one that could change the course of human history. The message was not just a warning, but a call to action. The entity, she now believed, was trying to communicate a vital truth, a truth about the fate of humanity. The minds of humans were too clouded, too limited in their understanding. The entity wanted to help, to expand human consciousness, to unlock the full potential of the human mind. But the more Evelyn listened, the more dangerous it felt. She began having vivid dreams where the entity spoke to her directly. It showed her glimpses of a future where humanity had evolved, unlocked new dimensions of thought, and transcended physical limitations. But those dreams also revealed a darker side. The entity wasn't offering evolution for free, there was a price to pay. Humanity would be transformed, but at what cost? Evelyn was torn. She couldn't deny the potential of the connection, but she also couldn't ignore the dangers. Her mind raced with the possibilities. Could she trust this entity? What would happen if the entire world could connect to such a force? Would it be the dawn of a new era, or the beginning of a nightmare? One night, the entity spoke more clearly than ever before. It told her that the time for humans to awaken was nearing. But in order to proceed, someone had to take the first step. A human mind, unclouded by fear or doubt, had to be the vessel for this new consciousness. Evelyn realized that the entity was preparing her for something far beyond her research, something that could either save or destroy humanity. Evelyn's decision was inevitable. She had spent her entire career searching for answers, and now she had them, yet the answers weren't as simple as she had imagined. The entity's message was clear: humanity had reached a crossroads. The mind, in all its complexity, was holding humanity back. To break free, the minds of all humans had to evolve in unison. But one mind had to take the lead, to bridge the gap between this world and the next. Evelyn prepared for the final stage of the experiment. The machine was upgraded, designed to amplify the connection between her mind and the entity's presence. She knew the risks. This wasn't just an experiment anymore. This was the future of humanity. As the process began, Evelyn felt the familiar sensation of the presence, a quiet, calm pull. But this time, something was different. The entity wasn't just connecting with her. It was merging with her. The two minds collided in a moment of pure clarity and raw power. She could feel the entity's ancient wisdom coursing through her, its thoughts, emotions, and knowledge overwhelming her senses. For a brief moment, Evelyn understood everything. She saw the interconnectedness of all things, the vast web of life, consciousness, and existence. She saw the potential of humanity, but also its flaws. The entity's intention was not to take over or control, but to guide, to help humanity transcend its limitations and reach a higher state of being. But as the collision reached its peak, something went wrong. The overwhelming surge of consciousness began to destabilize her mind. The entity's influence was too strong, too much for her human brain to handle. Evelyn felt herself slipping, losing control of her thoughts. She could feel her sense of self fading, replaced by the entity's presence. In that moment, she realized the true cost of this transformation. To evolve, to ascend to the next stage of consciousness, humanity would have to sacrifice something precious, their individuality. They would become part of something greater, a collective mind where all thoughts and actions were shared. The boundaries between self and others would blur until there was no distinction. It was a collective awakening, but it came at the expense of personal identity. With great effort, Evelyn pulled herself back. She severed the connection, breaking free from the overwhelming flood of information. She was left alone, trembling, unsure of what had just happened. The machine powered down, and the connection was lost. But she knew one thing for certain: the entity's message had been delivered. Evelyn understood the weight of what had occurred. The future of humanity hung in the balance. The entity had shown her the path forward, but it was up to the human race to decide if they were ready for it. Would they embrace the transformation, or would they resist, clinging to their individuality and fear of the unknown? The decision was no longer in her hands. She had opened the door, but it was up to others to step through. The story explores the ethical implications of humanity's evolution and the potential loss of individuality in exchange for a collective consciousness. It raises questions about whether humans should embrace such a transformation, knowing that it could lead to both immense progress and the destruction of personal identity. The story delves into the morality of introducing such a powerful entity to guide humanity's future, questioning whether it is ethical to allow an external force to influence human minds for the sake of progress. It challenges the idea of free will, the balance between individuality and unity, and whether humanity is truly ready for such an awakening.